All right, I got a few videos queued up. I've been doing a lot of reacting to these never had a girlfriend, never had a boyfriend videos. We got Ashley Flores here. And I watched the first 30 seconds. She seemed well-spoken and positive, and she's gotten out of that trap. Now she's 26 and has a boyfriend. So let's try to focus on what to do when you're in these scenarios, how to pull yourself out of it. And it'll be nice to get a woman's perspective of how she did that and how her perceptions on dating have changed.
Have you spent your life perpetually single? Are you in your 20s and you can say you've never had a boyfriend? Do you constantly ask yourself, what's wrong with me? Why does nobody want me? Been there?
No. At no point in my dating life have I ever considered such things. Or I've never had those thoughts. I've never struggled with dating. That's not to say everyone I've ever asked out has said yes, but I've just always had the mindset, hey, there's a lot more fish in the sea. So I've never really got overly hung up on why someone's not into me. And then as I dated, I just kind of figured out, if anything, I thought, why are so many women into me? And then as I progressed through my dating life and life in general, it became very obvious as to why.
Done that. If you have to, then I guess this video is for you. That rhymed. Hi, welcome back to Vlogmas Day, whatever it is. I'm posting all my videos that I film out of order, so I don't know what day it is. So today I'm talking about being grown as fuck and never having been in a relationship. So I'm in a relationship now. I'm also about to turn 26, so it's about damn time. I'm just gonna talk about my experience spending 24 years of my life single and never having been in a relationship. I'm gonna talk about what it was like being single for that long, what it was like dating and never ending up in a solid partnership, I guess you could say. I'm going to talk about how I ended up in a relationship and yeah, stuff like that pretty much. And
all right, that sounds good. I hope you go into detail.
I'm also going to talk about why I was single for so long and what it was like being single versus in a relationship and yeah, all that stuff. So if this is something you're going through, then I guess just watch this video for some reassurance and I don't know, just why not? So I'm 26 and I was single up until I was 24. When I was 24, I got into like a relationship, but we weren't official until I would say I was 25. Bitch. So I'm 25. I'm turning 26 soon.
So it sounds like she dated prior to being 24, just never very seriously until 24, and that's very reasonable. I wouldn't advise it, but 24 is like not that old, right? The reason I wouldn't advise it is even if you're dating unsuccessfully, in the relationships where you're going from a more casual short term to a long term, at least take some attempts at it, because you're going to get better at dating and you're going to start considering what your preferences are in long-term relationships in general. The best way to learn anything is through experience, so gaining that experience will just give you so much more insight, so much more perspective on yourself and others. It's a good skill to learn prior than 24, that is certain.
And I got into my first relationship around 23, and boyfriend and girlfriend did not happen until I was 24 actually. So I was literally just dating people or single for the majority of my life. I only really ended up in one real situationship that felt like boyfriend and girlfriend but didn't ever go there, of course, because men. And then the boyfriend that I have now is the person that I got into the real relationship with at 24. So what was that like for me? In high school, I did not have a man ever. Like, I did not ever talk to someone, date, like go on a date, have someone like me back. I never had that. There would be people that like might pursue interest in me because they were
like most people didn't do much dating in high school. And even if they did, it was the people who did is very short term, like way more short term and unserious than when you do that as an adult. And a lot of like people who get really down on themselves about having major struggles, having never really dated, they get very hung up on this idea of people dating in high school as though it's like absolutely required. And it is so not, and it is so absurd to think that there's any value in high school dating whatsoever. Like all that high school dating really is this weird introductory ball of immaturity. It's just a basket of immaturity, where some people, they're gonna grow as a person, like, I guess, but the type of dating is so wildly different. It's basically entirely irrelevant.
Attracted to me, but I wasn't like, I didn't give anything back because A, I was too shy, B, I felt like I was like better than all the guys there because they were so gross, and C, I was very awkward, which I guess goes with shy. So I never ended up in any type of situation in high school. Like I never had a guy ever. So by the time I went to college, I didn't know how to act. Sorry, when I say I didn't know how to act, I don't mean like I was out in the streets. No, I mean like I did not know how to act around boys because, well, I guess at this point in my life they were men because I was in college, but I did not know how to act around men because I never dated anyone. So I got into my first situationship with this little white boy that my friend introduced me to, and I was an awkward mess. Like I was just so awkward. I never knew how to like have a full conversation with him. Like I would get really shy and like I would like avoid eye contact. I would have too much pride in texting first and all that stuff. I would never initiate plans, and I had really strict parents, so getting out of the house and going to hang out with him was really difficult. So we only really hung out when we were doing our like double dates, and it was just awkward.
Yeah, double dates, they're probably a good call when you're early into your dating life, when you're in your early 20s. But outside of that, they're painfully awkward always. Not always, I guess. It really depends, because then you're creating this dynamic where all four people need to really get along. Like it works really well if all four people, or at least three of the people, are like already close friends. Like I've gone on a double date where me and the girl I was with were good friends with the other couple already, but that kind of isn't what would happen in the scenario she's describing. But yeah, they're real awkward.
It's weird, but for some reason we were still kind of talking, but I don't really think we were. But in my mind, because I'd never talked to someone, I was like, oh my god, I really like this guy. Like, I really, really like him. And I just wanted it to work so bad. And I would find myself like double texting him and stuff like that eventually when I actually realized like I liked him. And when we lost communication, I would reach out to him again. I was just stupid. Like, the guy didn't want me. It was very clear, but I didn't know how to take those cues because I'd never talked to a guy before. So after that, my next situationship was this.
So in that situation, it sounds like it's really hard when you're not established. There's kind of a lot of core reasons that a guy is typically in his prime of his dating life from the age of 28 to about 40, and that's because that's when he like has his own place, has his own career, has all the stuff that he wants to buy. Maybe not all the stuff, right? But he has accomplished a whole bunch of things, so he's like this fully formed person. And I can tell you, it's a lot easier when you have your own place. Like, she lived with her parents, and she described that it was very hard to even like spend time together as a couple, right? And that will be hard if literally both of you live with your parents. So yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely not worth getting hung up on. Struggling dating in your late teens, early 20s is not, because there's just all these like practical barriers. On top of that, think about people like going to college. Typically people, because they're so young and energetic in their early 20s, they're going to get some crappy job where they're making not very much money, and they're going to work at it like a lunatic. They're going to work their butt off because that's what that's what you should be doing to some extent, but they're going to have certain things in their life that are going to eat up a large chunks of time, and the overall life balance that they have hasn't been established either. So it's also, there's 1,000,001 obstacles that you really need to be in your mid-20s and later before you can really balance that out and really set your priorities straight.
This guy from my college, and this one was a little more serious. This was, maybe I was 21, it was 2015 that we started talking, and this one was, it felt like love. Like, I thought I was in love with this man, and I just didn't know how to show that.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and
him, like, in his mind, he was like, does Ashley even like me? Because I was so unaffectionate and strange and just weird with him sometimes because, again, I did not know how to act.
Yeah, and like the previous situation you described, same thing. Like, the guy's just going to feel like you're not really into him because he's not able to spend time with you. Neither of these people are able to like spend time with you as a couple in the way that a couple normally would. So the guys are going to think, hey, she's uninterested because she's not going out of her way to create these like romantic situations, right? And maybe they are or they aren't, but maybe they don't really know how to do that. But likely they're going to feel like they're putting in all the effort because they're scheduling these dates, making plans with you, but you're not really reciprocating. So they're going to assume you're not reciprocating. It's just a complete lack of interest on your part.
I didn't know how to show affection. I didn't know how to be open about my feelings. I expected the guy to put in all the work, and I just got to sit and be pretty and like be loved. And he eventually was like, I'm not getting anything out of this. So he ended it.
Exactly. A lot of women fall into this trap, that this idea that they just need to contribute nothing to a relationship. And that's not the case. This will always be the result if you do that. The guy will leave you because there's tons of other women out there who will. You're never going to have relationship success until you start treating relationships as a two-way street, as equals. It just will not work out well. And realistically, even when women do try to contribute and try to treat the situation as equal, they often don't even meet the level of it being equal. They almost never do. But at least trying, at least making it like remotely equal will put you above a lot of other women.
And in my mind, I liked to think that it was mutual because I was starting to get over it because I thought he was an asshole for like not putting effort in anymore. But in reality, he wasn't putting effort in anymore because he was never getting it back because I didn't know how to act. So he ended it, but in my mind, like when we had that conversation, I was like, yeah, this is the right thing. And like, I thought it was mutual, but looking back, it wasn't really mutual. It was him. And those were like my two main little things in between.
I could tell by 30 seconds into her video that she would have this kind of mindset. This is like a perfect mindset to have when reflecting on dating situations you've been in, right? Like, I've been in situations where I've broken up with people and where people have broken up with me. And sometimes it's mutual, but most of the time it's going to be pretty one-sided, right? Like, there has been times where I, out of feeling bad for someone that I'm dating and me wanting to end things, I simply have made it, just kind of created so much distance in the relationship that they break up with me, right? And it's kind of it's a roundabout way to get to end a relationship, is you just create so much distance that they're going to break up with you. And I feel bad, and I feel like on some level, even the times that I've done that, the women, when they look back, they probably realized that I was breaking up with them. I just didn't have the I just didn't like actually execute the breakup. And when that's happened, it's usually because and there's plenty of times I've broken up with women where I just tell them outright, "Hey, we're breaking up and this is exactly why." But I'll only do that if I feel that the reasons why, that they're going to be open to hearing the reasons why and at least somewhat accepting them, and that it would help them to know why. There's other times where I just feel too bad for them, and I feel like it would be way too painfully awkward to explain to them why. And yeah, like one woman I dated, she like I was into her. I was right into her. We got along great, very compatible. Like we could have made a great couple, but she didn't clean up her place very well. She wanted to hang out at her place a lot more than she wanted to hang out at my place. Because she had this big dog, and yeah, her place was just always a mess. Just always a mess. She would sometimes clean it, but then it would just immediately, the mess would start to build again. And not like a horrible hoarding situation, but the type of mess where like, if you want to set something on the table, on the coffee table, you got to move stuff over. It's not like overflowing, spilling off the table, but you got to like, you have to put in effort just to set something down on the coffee table. And I'm the type of person where like my coffee table to the side here has almost nothing on it, right? Like up until a year ago, this place was pretty spotless, right? Like I like to have no mess whatsoever. Pretty organized, pretty clean person. But this person was the opposite of that. They just didn't clean their place, and they wanted to always hang out at their place, and I didn't want to hang out in a dirty place. And I felt like this person, they got a lot of issues to deal with they need to deal with on their time, right? Like if I confront them and tell them, "Hey, your place is super messy and I just can't deal with it. I feel uncomfortable spending time with you at your place," they would reflect on, like, they know their place is messy, and they probably on some level already realize it's because of like some kind of like mental health struggle. And like I just felt like it wouldn't really be all that productive to tell them that. I feel like they would already realize that that's a problem that they have, and that the messiness problem, what's causing it, and that problem is something I'm sure they will deal with in their life. I'm sure in the next 10 years they're going to deal with that issue, but that's something they have to do on their time. And I don't want to be in a situation where I express that to somebody and they promise that they're going to change, and they're going to change, because that's going to lead to them changing temporarily and the same problem popping back up, and it's just going to get messy for no reason. But yeah, let's continue with this video.
Between all those, I was going on dates and stuff, but I just never had a boyfriend. I was very picky at one point in my life, but also it was a lot of just it going nowhere because I just didn't know how to further pursue someone, and it just got weird. So I'd go on dates, maybe there'd be a second or third, and then like it would just get awkward, and it was always me, and it just resulted in me being single until I was 24. And it sucks. Like, I remember I would be lying in bed and just be like, I just want a boyfriend. Like, I just want a boyfriend. Because I just wanted to experience it and go through things. And I wanted to experience heartbreak. Looking back, I wish I never fucking manifested that. I wanted to.
You say that, but you I'm sure you understand that those heartbreaks, that you learned a lot, and there was good experiences within that.
Have someone I could cuddle and take pictures with, and just the shallow shit that comes with being in a relationship, just because I never experienced it. So my mind was like, I just want a relationship. I want someone to like hang out at my house and like meet my family, and I want to cook for someone, and I want to get cute for someone and go on dates. I just wanted all the like the little fun, stupid things that come with a relationship, without realizing that it was work. Like it's real work. So I was literally just wishing for a relationship and seeing all my friends get into them, and New Year's would come around and I couldn't be with my friends because they were all doing things with their boyfriends, so it would either result in me third wheeling or me being alone. So I started to spend some New Year's alone, or like with people that I wasn't that close to, because I didn't really have anyone else, and it just got redundant. Like I was just over it, and I was like, I just want a boyfriend. But I never put the work into myself to truly manifest a good person. So I just...
Yeah. This is hard to tie into when men are this way. Because typically when men are this way, it's just because they're not trying. They're just not asking women out. They're not pursuing relationships. Or they're pursuing like so few that it's comical. Whereas you actually, you mostly have the right mindset. You're actually trying and putting in effort. It's like that last 40% that you're just not quite there yet, and that's going to hold you back. But it's clear that at some point that changed.
I just kept attracting like shitty guys, and I was giving them the time of day because I don't know, I just was lonely. I was super lonely, and I just wanted someone. And I just didn't realize how much work would come with it. So 24 years in, I'm just like, damn, this shit is getting old, and I just let it go. I forgot about it. I stopped trying for a boyfriend, all that stuff. Like I was just kind of like, whatever, like whatever. And I started going out. Sorry, I shouldn't even say 24 is when I started going out. I started like feeling those feelings at like 23. I started going out a lot. I had a huge club rat phase. I was like always talking to promoters and talking to people at clubs, and like I wouldn't say like I was like doing the most. I was definitely just entertaining people and flirting and just like having fun, but I wasn't actually like talking to anybody. I was just being single, and I was okay with it. And then at 23, a friend and I reunited and got really close. Male friend. We got really close, and like eventually like there were feelings. Like he had the feelings first, and then I had the feelings, even though I was like pushing them away for a minute because I was like...
Alright, what she's describing here is what I call an alpha orbiter. She says, oh, like I reunited with a friend. Likely it's a friend that they always had a flirtation with, and the kind of friend that you actually need to be worried about if you were to date this girl, right? It's super rare that there is like no sign of any kind of attraction on either side, and friends just reunite and all of a sudden sparks start flying like this.
That's the homie, no, that's my friend. And what's weird is like I told myself that, but also deep down when I met him like 5-6 years ago, I was like, this is a soulmate. It was just...
Exactly. The juices were flowing back then.
So weird. The day I met him, I wasn't even that spiritual at the time. I was like, this is someone that I'm connected to. Like this is someone that I've known before. I don't know why I met him. I met him for a reason. And I was so overwhelmed with all these feelings of like familiarity with him when I first met him, and we just clicked like that, and I was overwhelmed to the point where like...
Ooh, ads. Come on, Red Bull. I've never bought your product. I never will. Now, peanut butter, on the other hand, I could definitely do some peanut butter.
Driving home, like, what the fuck just happened? Who is this person? Why did I meet him? That was so weird. And like we just stayed friends for years, and like he had a girlfriend and I was talking to people or whatever, and we never got into a relationship at all. Like we just liked each other. We were friends. We were legitimately friends.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? Like I said at the start of this video, with me never having struggles with dating, how you be an alpha orbiter is while you're doing that, you also have women in your orbit, which is what was happening here, right? Like you were on the back burner for this guy. even though he was in relationships. And that's kind of how most people exist in dating. And that's how people can date so easily and so much, can jump from one relationship to the other so easily. It's because there's tons of people who are into you. And that's how it is. That's what happens, right? If I'm in a relationship, guess what? I got women in my orbit. I got women on the back burner for me. And I'm on the back burner for women, right? Like, it can be, most times it's a mutual being on the back burner. And then both people are single, boom, they start dating. It's pretty straightforward.
So by the time I was 23, we reconnected, blah, blah, blah. We got really close, and eventually he started pursuing me. And I noticed that he was pursuing me, and I was like, and then eventually I started to like fall for him, and we ended up dating. And this is who I'm with right now. It's my boyfriend right now. So after, I would say, I don't know, like months of like close friendship, we spent every single day together. After months of friendship, he drunkenly told me that he liked me, and we ended up together. And like, we just ended up together, and then we broke up, and then we got back together, and now we've been pretty solid. So the experience of getting into she kind of smiled while she was saying that. The relationship after being single for so long was overwhelming. Like, I did not know how to be in a relationship. I didn't know certain things I had to do or say or reciprocate or work on to be with this person.
That's the problem. That's why I tell guys, don't worry. Like, you need to get in a few relationships before you actually go for your one-itis, the woman that you've known for a really long time, that you have a ton of feelings for. Is because even if you get it, even if they do go out with you, your lack of experience will make it almost certain that relationship isn't going to last very long, because you don't bring anything to the table. You don't know how to be a good partner. You don't know how to function in a relationship. A lot of you out there, a lot of you men, you just assume that what you need to do in a relationship is like hardcore simp for the woman, is to just be at her beck and call, just be her doormat, just do whatever she says. When no, that's actually the total opposite of what you should be doing. You need to be an independent person, a leader, someone who's there for her and supports her. Now, supporting her doesn't mean you just do whatever she says and agree with everything she says. No, how you're actually nice to somebody, how you're actually supportive for somebody, how you're actually there for somebody is you treat them as an equal, which means you don't allow them to treat you as less than. You need to elevate the people around you. You can't elevate others by them just stomping you further into the ground. You elevate them by saying like, hey, I'm up here and I'm actually going to pull you up here. Right? And the only way you can do that is being very honest and open and positive and true to yourself. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for your family. Don't let this person don't let this person bring negativity towards your life or any kind of issues. And there's also tons of nice things you need to do also in a relationship that you aren't going to be able to properly do if you haven't experienced them, right? Like these guys, they think it's reasonable to have zero experience. No, it's not. Because trust me, when it comes to like physical intimacy, when it comes to getting down, I guarantee you that a woman with zero experience and skill is probably going to be able to get you off, and you probably ain't going to have any ability to get her off if you have no experience, right? Don't you want to be able to provide a good bedroom experience for someone you're in a long-term relationship with? Don't you actually care to be good at that part? A lot of these guys don't. They're so focused on trying to like complain about other men. They're so focused on other men. Start focusing on women and what you can bring to them in a relationship. Stop focusing so much on other men. And women, stop focusing so much on other women. Like, men aren't that complicated of creatures. What you need to bring to a relationship is really not all that much.
I didn't know how certain fights would go. Like, it was so weird to me. Like, I felt like he would always be there, and I felt like arguments could just kind of like, you know, like we just get over them. And I didn't realize how much work it is to be in a relationship. Being in a relationship is literally like being in a relationship is kind of like a part-time job. And I'm not saying like the shitty aspects of a part-time job. I'm just saying the effort and the time that you put into it to nourish it and make it grow and be a beautiful relationship is, it's a lot. And
like, I'm somebody who cares to have a successful relationship and be a successful person. I want somebody who elevates me, but I also want to elevate somebody else. And a problem I run into in relationships is the women I date will say they have some sort of goal. Maybe they want to start a small business or whatever, or go to school, or accomplish this and that. And I give them genuinely good advice and like methods on how to accomplish their goals. And almost every time they just ignore it. And that's kind of annoying, but at least typically they're at least somewhat supportive towards me and my goals. And I don't know, women are strange in that way.
it's worth it when you're in a good relationship, but you can't just...
Because to me, like I'm saying, and maybe I take it a little too far, but I improve the lives of people around me. I give them good advice, which mostly is just listening to them and providing them the environment to solve their own problems and come to their own conclusions. But when it comes down to like actually giving advice, saying like, hey, these are the things you can do to solve the problem you have, women almost like never take that advice. So you kind of get into this leadership role, because fundamentally you need to be the leader as the man. But then most women aren't very receptive to that when it comes down to actually enacting stuff that could get them to where they want to be. It's like they get to a point where it's like they want to talk about doing whatever it is again and again and again. But then when it actually gets to crunch time to like, hey, this is how you can take a big step forward towards your goal, they just don't do it. They're like, well, whatever.
Just think that you're gonna start dating after being single for 25 years, 20 years, 19 years, whatever, and start dating, and like it's just like, let's go on dates and take cute pictures and hold hands and tell each other how much we love each other and get in a fight and get over it in an hour and introduce each other to our friends and family and like, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend. It's not that. Like, it was a lot of work. A lot of the times I was not opening up enough. I was not affectionate enough in the beginning because I just didn't know how to be. I wasn't comfortable with being affectionate because I'd never expressed affection to anyone, because I didn't feel like anyone really deserved it because I wasn't dating them. And I didn't know certain things that I had to do. Like, if something's bothering me, I didn't realize that I should just sit down and communicate about it instead of just like getting pissed off in the moment. I didn't realize that if I felt like I did something wrong, I should come to them and apologize before they bring it up to me, because I should own my shit without you having to tell me what I did wrong. I didn't realize that I should listen to listen and not listen to respond. And
Oh my God, this woman she understands it. She understands life. She's gotten there. This is what all women need to do. They need to start getting in relationships and experiencing the experiences they need to experience to get to the point this woman is at. Because she's exactly right. Women will so often do this, where they just start an argument because they're mad about something else. That happens all the time. And as a man, though, even though that happens, what you need to do is instantly recognize it. Usually you can. But then you need to get good at dissecting, at figuring out what she actually is mad about. And the way I do it is I instantly become dismissive towards what she is arguing about initially. Is I just argue back. I just explain as quickly as I can. I just defeat her argument as fast as possible, so then she has no choice but to get to what she actually wants to argue about, what her actual issue is. And 9 times out of 10, it's something absurd anyway. It's like, oh, well, you said this and it pissed me off. Okay, I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't have said that. When I said that, I meant this instead of that. And it's usually a very small thing.
To this day, I still have that problem sometimes. I didn't know that I need to put my defense down. I didn't know that I need to love myself in order to fully give love to this person, because when I wasn't loving myself, I was accepting anything, and I was also not giving enough. I didn't know a lot of things, and it made that first, I like to call it, round of the relationship pretty tough, if I'm being honest, without going too in depth on it, because obviously I want to respect my boyfriend. I don't want to go crazy in detail, but I will say, like, that first round was pretty rough, and a lot of it was my fault because I just didn't know how to navigate through a relationship. And he was so patient with me, and to be honest, like, a lot of people would have been like, this is too much to take on, like, and probably just would have said fuck this shit, because I was a lot, and I wasn't willing to always take criticism or listen to the things that I was kind of like not giving or doing wrong. So
earn more PC Optimum points on every purchase.
A lot of times, guys, when you're in those situations,
entering a relationship,
you have things on the back burner, because that's how women do it, right? They'll have things like in the back of their mind when they'll start an argument, but they'll have things already kind of thought out to where they're gonna throw out. That's how they end up bringing up stuff that happened like a year ago. You said something that was slightly offended her 3 years ago. It's because they come prepared. Usually because they know they're going to start an argument, so they're like, all right, if I start losing the argument, I'm gonna suddenly say, oh well, you said my mom was annoying 4 years ago. Stuff like that. So how you counteract that is you also have those things, and just have them like prepared on a permanent like scale, or like have a few things queued up in your mind for the day whenever, because it's going to be random, right? That she just starts some random argument, but have things. You have to also have that ammunition ready for an argument. Because you're going to get random stuff that has nothing to do with the argument thrown at you. So just do the same. Just say, hey, well, this and this happened 2 years ago. You like that you really hurt me by saying this thing 2 years ago, or I felt this way, yada yada, whatever it is. It's going to be personal to you, but just duplicate the behavior. It actually makes these arguments so much easier, because you can just totally defeat the woman's argument by being equally prepared.
For the first time, it's so important that the person that you're with, assuming they've been in relationships before, it's so important that you listen to them. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They're not just saying things to be an asshole. Like, sometimes they just need to be honest with you on things that you need to do or improve on. And you need to just hear them out and listen without being defensive or angry or taking criticism poorly, because they know better than you. It's like you're going to a job and someone's training you, and you try and like get annoyed that the trainer is telling you how to work the cash register.
That is a brilliant way to put it, because that's what people are doing often in dating. Now, some people, they're trying to drag you down, they're trying to nag you, tell you you're bad, tell you need to change, when really you don't. So you need to also be able to determine when that person, instead of being a trainer, they're just being an awful boss who's venting their unhappiness with themselves, trying to place that onto you, project that onto you. That also happens. But for the most part, let's assume you're dating somebody who's actually a good person, and maybe they're being critical of you, but they're genuinely trying to A, make you a better person, and B, trying to make a relationship with you work. right? And that's why I say someone like me is I give that sort of constructive criticism, right? Like if someone's coming to me, if I'm dating somebody and they come to me for advice, they want to talk to me about some goal they're looking to achieve, I'm going to give them advice on how to work towards that goal and how to develop as a person to get better at working towards that goal and sort of resolve some of their issues, gain skills that would be helpful. That's why I'm doing that, is because I want whoever you are to become a better person, to become better at whatever, right? Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I got all kinds of things I could be better at. And there's an infinite amount of things that I could be better at, mostly of which because I have no interest in ever dabbling in, right? Like, it could be anything. It could be skydiving, being taming lions, playing the current Madden game. All things that I don't know how to do because I haven't done them. So I'm going to be terrible at them, right? And a lot of dreams and ambitions people have, it's stuff that they haven't even begun to look into. They haven't developed any skill towards actually getting to the goal that they want to achieve.
Or you're like, I can figure this out, or I've done this at one of my old jobs 5 years ago, or blah, 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 blah. And they're just trying to show you how to work the cash register, but you're not fucking listening. You can't do that. If you've never worked at Starbucks before and the Starbucks manager is trying to show you how to use their system, you can't just pretend you know how to use it. You can't just say you've used a register before, but only for a month, or you can't do that. You just gotta You just gotta take in the information they're trying to give you, process it, understand, and assess if it's actually, helpful and healthy information, and if it's actual, real, authentic information, and just go with that.
Now, what she said there is super important to life. And I tell this kind of thing to people. That I say it in a different way. I say that, I say this to my coworkers, right? Because so many of my coworkers have approached me over the years and said, I love working with you. You're so easy to work with. You're just easy to get along with. You just joke around. You're laid back. You get the job done. You work hard. But you also play hard. No, none of them say that. But they basically say that. They say, you avoid conflict. You chill. There's no BS. You just like to have fun and get the job done. And you're so much easier to work with than other people. And so I tell them that certain situations in my life, I won't get specific, but I had conflict. I'm currently in a conflict with somebody in my personal life. And I say, hey, imagine how easy, I put in effort to be easy to get along with. I make effort to be a person at work who you're excited you're working with that day and not somebody else. Now imagine that effort that I put in, but with somebody I'm in a relationship with. Just imagine how much more my focus on teamwork and getting along as a team and moving forward as a team, how much more of that there would be if I literally was in a relationship with somebody or had a kid with somebody, right? Because to me, my job is meaningless. I don't give a crap. This means almost nothing to me in comparison to say my friendships or my personal relationships or my family. My job is a job. It's just a job. I don't care. I could have giant conflict at my job and it would mean nothing in comparison to stuff outside of work. I go to work to make my life outside of work better. For no reason am I at work besides that, right? So the same thing kind of goes for what she's talking about with dating, right? Like, the person you're with is trying to make it so you will have a successful relationship going forward. And part of that requires both people changing. And there has to be a certain level of collaboration, right? Obviously, and if there has to be give and take. There just absolutely has to be. You can't, if there's issues, they can't just go permanently unresolved. They need to be dived into, and people need to change. Or if people can't change or won't change, that needs to be like weighed of whether or not you want to continue to be together. Whether or not that is okay or it's not. And if it is okay, if you accept that it's okay, then you can't keep pushing for it, right? Because you've agreed that you won't keep pushing for it. And you can't just change that a year down the road or any amount of time. But since she's talking about time, yeah, that's how people treat dating. It's like one of the top priorities in their life. And it's so bizarre when people don't really see it as such, or they act like it's unreasonable to treat it as such. And we're limited. We're limited as people on the planet, right? Like, realistically, and it's, say you're a man and you want to date a woman who's in your age range and you want to have a family. Well, guess what? Just like that, just as time goes on, that woman's time frame to have kids is limited to like 2 decades. So is yours if you want a woman in your age range. If you're not willing to, like, you know, pull a DiCaprio or whatever, however you want to look at it. So it's limited, right? Your time is limited. So if someone's being pushy, it's because there's only so much life to live, right? And you also need to look at it like this. Say you do wait. Say you wait till you're in your late 30s or 40 or something to have a kid. If you're 40 and you have a kid, then that kid, when that kid turns 20 years old, you're going to be 60. Think about that. Think about how, like, and also when that kid's 10, when that kid's a teenager, when that kid's 15 years old and wants to get in a physical fight with you and push you around, you're going to be 55 years old, right? So there's also a time restraint. There's a physical limitation time restraint. And then there's just a, do I really want to be like having a teenager hating me when I'm 55? Am I going to be able to, like, be the authority figure that I need to be when I'm 55? You know? So that's why people are trying to change you for the better, is because there's only so much time. And it's like, we got to figure this out and continue to progress things and, you know, achieve our goals together. There's only so much time, where time's limited. Because say they dedicate themselves to you, they're in a relationship with you for several years. Well, guess what? Like, say you're in a 5-year relationship in your 20s. That's 5, and then it fails. That's 5 years of your, like, 20 years of child ability to have children that is just thrown right in the garbage, right? Like, it's crazy to me that so many people will stay in horrible relationships when that stuff like that happens all the time. Like, how are you not considering just the basic mathematics of, hey, my time is limited here to have a kid that I'm actually going to be able to keep up with and raise properly. That sounds very, like, I'm being very harsh. Raise properly. Like, you can be old and raise a kid and do a good job at it. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not realistically. And I would say you're still figuring out who you are in your early 20s. So realistically, probably the ideal time to have a kid and actually be established in yourself and in your life and understand who you are, and have gone through a few relationships, figure out what kind of relationship you really want to be in for the rest of your life. The real age range is like 25 to 35 is the ideal time to be having kids. That's a 10-year time frame, right? Like, you don't have time in that time frame to be wasting time and be in some kind of relationship where you're playing games and neither of you are developing as individuals or as a couple.
Trust them. The relationship that you're in, I'm assuming it's with someone that you trust, that you value, that you know has good intentions, that you care about, and that you know cares about you. So trust that they have your relationship's best interests at heart and your best interests at heart, and just go with how they're navigating through it. Take their lead and just listen, because otherwise it's not gonna go well. Now I'm a lot better with that. I will say there's still certain things that I learn in relationships that I struggle with, and he's been in a couple. I'm still in my first relationship, you know, and hopefully my only relationship. And I just have to sometimes let him take the lead with certain things. And eventually, like, I'll experience enough to understand everything fully. And I feel like I'm really getting there. But right now, I'm still learning. Sometimes I'm like, holy shit, like, I really haven't experienced this yet. And it's so weird. So yeah, that's transitioning from being single to a relationship. And then obviously there's heartbreak, your first heartbreak, which is rough. You don't want to go through that, but you probably will. I have a whole video on everything that you're going to experience during heartbreak, and it is rough. Like, I don't take heartbreak well at all.
Heartbreak is genuinely an awful experience. It can get you down in the dumps for months. It hurts, and it continues to hurt. Things will remind you of the person. There's relationships, like, I've been in a fair bit of relationships, and there's stuff where it just reminds me. And it could be nothing. It could just be my brain just randomly thinks of a good time I had with so-and-so. And it sucks because you miss people and you miss those good times and you miss what you had. It's really awful, but it's a part of life. And it's something that everyone has to deal with at some point. But luckily, we learn, we grow, we avoid making the same mistakes in the future. We get better at figuring out if whoever we're going to be dating is likely to make similar mistakes. Because it's not always our fault if things crumble, right? Some people are just wild. Sometimes you date somebody and they're nothing like they presented themselves as. Or they just end up being an awful person. That happens, and it's not your fault. And sometimes, even when that happens, it still hurts. It still hurts just the same, because usually there's some good elements to a relationship, even if it's with a bad person. And it can hurt terribly when that ends, even if it's the best thing for it to end.
It's not fun. So I have a whole video on that. I also have a video on getting over heartbreak, which I'm going to post probably this week. But that's my video on being single for 24 years. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any questions that you guys have for me, ask me in the comments down below. Or if there's anything you guys just want to add to this or say about being single all your life, just leave a comment down below on how long you've been single.
Yeah, I never really struggled much. I didn't get heavily into dating until I was like 19, but then from there it was just off to the races. Yeah, and great video, great job. You really talked about how you changed your mindset entirely, your entire approach to dating, how you became a much better girlfriend, and that's why you have a boyfriend now. Is you got good at dating. And because you care to get good, and that's gonna improve your life in general, right? Like, I hope who you're dating is somebody who elevates you, and solving that part of life makes all of the rest of your life a lot easier. Hopefully, ideally, best case scenario. So I'm happy for you.